What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Universal Teas. It's the People's Podcast with your girl Toya. And this episode is called It's Not Them, It's You. It's you, right? And I know that title in itself or that phrase is something that we don't want to hear. But at a certain point, you have to take some ownership for the things that you are dealing with in your life. Right? We oftentimes, like when we're hurt, when our feelings are hurt, when we're going through a hard time, or even if somebody did do us wrong, we take way too much time trying to blame them or trying to get them to understand why they're wrong or trying to convince everybody else in the world of them being wrong. We try to play the victim like, oh my God, if they didn't do this to me, like, baby, he left you for somebody else 20 years ago. At some point, you got to get over it, right? He decided to do this or she decided to stop being your friend 10 years ago. You got to decide at some point to get over it, right? And then a lot of that takes self-reflection. So as we go through this episode and as people are talking to me in the chat, we're going to talk about what we are going to do to own some of the bullshit that we experience, right? Because until you can own, and that's the first point that I made, until you can pinpoint what it is or your role in the tragedy or the unfavorable things that are happening in your life, until you can pinpoint what those things are, you're never going to heal from them. Right? You can't heal by trying to get somebody else to feel hurt because you're hurt. That's not how that works, right? Healing is a self-responsibility because nobody really understands the full totality of your hurt besides you. So you can't expect somebody to heal your hurt unless it's you. That's a self-responsibility, right? So that's the point that I made. If you want to heal, you have to pinpoint and own your own bullshit, right? And going and thinking about that, it made me realize, like, it's easy for us to place the blame on somebody else, myself included, right? It's easy for us to get in trouble, right? And I'm thinking about at work, right? It's easy for me to have a kid get in trouble, or it's easy for me to feel bad about something and say, well, he did this, or, well, she did this to me, so that's why I did this, right? But oftentimes we don't realize, like, hey, I put myself in this situation and this was the outcome. Right? And owning it doesn't make what happened to you your fault. It just makes it easier for you to heal from it because now you're taking back the control. So the more you place the blame, the more you feel like you're the victim, the more you complain about what's happening to you, the less time you're spending healing, right? The less time you spend having control over your life, your situations, the things that you experience, right? But when we decide that we're going to say it's not them, a part of it is me, you're taking back that ownership over whatever it is. Let me know if y'all agree or disagree. So at some point, if you want to heal, yes, somebody did you wrong. Yes, somebody sneaked you. Yes, somebody talked about you. Yes, somebody was acting in a way that you did not like. But you have to take back ownership of that by owning the fact that you allowed it. By owning the fact that something in you at that stage in your life was okay with the shit that was going on. Because I know that we've all heard the saying before, people only do what you allow. So some point, and this may not be you reflecting, this may not be the healed you, because you could probably have someone tell you, or you could hear someone say, I would never deal with that. Chances are that same person has dealt with it, but they've already healed from it. So they can't say that they would never deal with it. They've just overcome it. They took back that ownership, right? And that's a large part. I think this episode may go a little bit hand in hand with forgiveness. Okay? Because when we are trying to heal, and the reason I called this episode is not them, it's you. The reason that we struggle with healing, oh, y'all gotta sneeze. Oh, it's right on the tip of my nose. The reason that we struggle with healing is because we don't want to let that hurt go. We don't want to look inside ourselves and feel like we have to change because we're only focusing on the wrong that they did to us, right? So if you're only focusing on the wrong that someone did to you, you don't feel the need to change anything about you. You don't feel the need to move differently in regards to them or your relationship. Y'all, hold on. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, Jesus. Bless you, Toya. Thanks, y'all. Y'all, I was burning some sage, and the sage is burning me back. Okay? It's burning me back. What was I saying? Right. We got to take ownership of our own healing. Right. And a large part of us not healing or not forgiving or not overcoming things is because we get so comfortable in the pain that we don't feel like we have to do anything. That's the point that I was making. We get so comfortable with saying, oh, they did this to me. Oh, y'all, I got to sneeze again. Oh my God, it's the sage, y'all. I know I got allergies. I don't know why I just did that to myself. Hold on. Ooh. Jesus. We here though. I can't breathe. Anyway. Right, we have to get to some point where we realize the more that we own our own bullshit, we own some of the experiences that happen to us, that's how we're going to get to our healing, right? You're never going to get to healing if you're constantly blaming, if you're constantly saying, they did this to me, they did this to me, they did this to me. You have to take back the ownership. You have to change the adjective. How can I change this situation, right? You give away so much power when you're constantly saying, but they did this to me. She said this to me. If she would have never did this, I wouldn't have did this. If he wouldn't have never did this to me, I wouldn't have lost my house. If he hadn't done this to me, I wouldn't have lost my car. If she was still my business partner, we would have $50 million. Instead of changing the narrative of what can I do to still get a house? What can I do to make that $1 million? What can I do to make this relationship work? We have to stop taking so much we have to stop taking so much of our power and giving it to other people, other situations that don't benefit us, right? If we're in a situation where we're playing the blame game or we're feeling hurt, we have to automatically, and this is a learning thing for me, when somebody does something to you that is unfavorable, that you do not like, that you are not a fan of, you have to immediately train your mind to what can I do to make this not happen again versus, oh my God, this sucks. It's the worst thing ever. I'm never going to get through this. Changing the narrative, yo. You got to make it about you. Stop making it about them. Acknowledge that they did you wrong. Acknowledge that they're a shitty friend. Acknowledge that they're a horrible business partner. And realize that you have the power to change that. Right? Because the more you dwell on who they are or who they've been, that's all that you're going to be in, right? You repeat cycles, right? A lot of the things that we get into that are bad habits, and we've been throwing around this word toxic a lot in this culture. The more we entertain toxic behaviors, those are patterns. Everything you do in life, whether you realize it or not, subconsciously are patterns, right? The way you put your socks on in the morning, the way that you put your coat on, you know what I mean? The leg that you put in your pants first, the way we do things are all habits. So you are in control of the habits that you do on a regular basis. Why can't you be in control of changing the narrative for the negative things that are happening in your life? Why? Tell me why, right? Why do you continuously give energy mentally, spiritually, even physically to things that don't serve you and then complain about them? Right? I know I probably got people who tired of me coming to them with the same story. Like, all right, girl, this is the same thing. You're just telling me about a cycle. What are you doing to change the cycle or not put yourself in a situation to deal with it? Once you own your bullshit, you can heal from it. Right? The more you try to blame somebody else for what you're going through, one, you're leaking toxic fluid on all of those around you. I know y'all have heard the saying, what does it say? If you don't heal from what hurt you, you'll bleed on people that never cut you. Y'all know what I'm talking about? What's that saying? Something about cutting people and bleeding on people that didn't cut you, right? Y'all know the saying that I'm talking about. So if you really want to heal and you want to be a better person, and I'm not just talking about healing through one situation, I'm talking about in life. Because every time we go through an experience, we have to learn from it and apply it all the time so that when you're tested again in that area, it's easier. Right? Imagine going to school and taking the same test every year. Words are the same. Numbers are the same. After a while, you're going to remember like, to do this question, I have to think this way. To get this answer right, I have to do this step, do this equation, right? Same thing with your life. We take so much time, or not that we don't take so much time. We become so unaware that we are just as much a part of the universe and the cycles of life as plants, animals, and everything else that happens naturally, right? The more routines you set for yourself, the better your life will be, the easier your life will be. But you have to realize that sometimes we are setting routines and we're not even aware of them. Okay? And we're introduced to people and we're meeting the same person over and over again. How many times have people dated someone or had a friendship and you're like, why do I keep meeting guys like this? Why do I keep meeting girls like this? Or I know y'all have heard a woman say this before. I don't like women. I can't be friends with women. Maybe it's the type of women you're trying to be friends with, sis. You too old to be saying stuff like that. Especially on International Women's Day, we need women. Women are a force. So if you are almost 40 years old still saying, I don't get along with women, I can't be friends with women, maybe you're not trying to be friends with women. Maybe you're entertaining little girls. And I'm not talking about physically or by age. I'm talking about mentally. So you have to look at the people that are around you. You have to look at the situations that you are putting yourself in. And maybe that's what needs to change. It's not them. It's you. Because they're showing you that they're going to continue to be who they are. Because they keep showing you this same person. It's you that's not changing. They're comfortable with who they are, obviously. They're okay with the person that they present to you, obviously. It's you that's deciding to deal with it, so they think it's okay. It's not them, it's you. They're comfortable. You're not. They're comfortable taking your money. They're comfortable sleeping at your house. They're comfortable cheating on you. You're the one that's uncomfortable. They don't have to change. They're good. You have to figure out what you need to do to make this change happen. Right? Another point. You have to trying to get someone to take ownership, and this kind of goes into what I was just saying. Trying to get someone to take ownership of the hurt that they caused you won't heal you. I'll say that again. Trying to get someone to take ownership for the hurt that you caused them is not going to heal you. Because most times when we're dealing with individuals that hurt us, that are no longer our friends, or we're in situations that we no longer like or enjoy, they're not going to take the blame. Because again, they don't feel as if they're doing anything wrong. So you have to take a step back and think about what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're surrounding yourself, the situations that you are putting yourself in that's making these people do these things to you, right? Is it that you're not being vocal and telling them that you don't like the things? Or is it the person in general? Is it someone that you don't need to be affiliated with in general? And we have to also, in this same light, realize that we are all going through phases in our lives. Okay, we have to understand and realize that everybody is not at the same place as you. So you might have to say goodbye to them for now. And if they're meant for you, they'll come back. But you have to find comfort in knowing that what is for you will always be for you. You have to stop blaming people for not meeting you where you are when they are 10 steps behind you. They haven't gotten to the stage of life that you're at. Right? I was looking at like a short video, and Ty Tribbett was kind of mentioning you can't expect a lion to be a sheep. Okay? Y'all have heard the saying, if it walk like a duck, quack like a duck, baby, it's a duck. Okay? You might be a full-fledged rooster, a full-fledged eagle. You cannot expect the sheep to be the lion. Accept them as who they are. Because it's not them. Now it's you. The dog is a dog. You can't make the dog be a rabbit. Okay? Accept them as a dog and move on. That's your part. That's where it comes from you. If you are going to sit there your whole life and expect the cat to bark, you're going to be in for a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of confusion. And you're going to waste a lot of your fucking time. Stop expecting people or situations that are very clearly what they are due to patterns that you see to be something that you're expecting. Because just like you've probably heard someone's expectations of you have nothing to do with you, your expectations of them have nothing to do with you either. Have nothing to do with them either. We have to understand all of these things that we push towards ourselves. We have to realize that those apply to everybody. You're not where I am right now. I gotta go. Right? If you end up in this situation, we might cross paths again. But right now, we're not in the same space. I gotta go. Right? And you have to realize and understand that every level of your life is going to be different. We get so comfortable where we are that sometimes we often run from the things that are next. We run from those bigger things because it's unfamiliar. Right? Your blessings, your winning season is on the other side of what you're afraid to lose. And sometimes it may not even be a loss. It might just be a pause in the action. Right? How many stories have y'all heard? And I even have this experience with the friendship. When I was in middle school, this friendship did not work out. And you know, middle school, you lose your best friend, it's the end of the world, right? Me and this girl, actually 2 girls, stopped being friends when we were in middle school and just reconnected as adults that are almost 30. So what we were going through at 12 and 13, we thought was the end of the world. And if I would have harped on that and just held that resentment, held that anger, I would be an almost 30-year-old woman still walking around talking about, yeah, I don't like her, she ain't my friend. Our paths weren't the same. We weren't in the same place. And now as adults, you know what I mean, we finally kind of leveled and we're able to reconcile, not even reconcile, but that issue doesn't even matter to us anymore because we've both grown at different rates. And if we didn't allow that to happen, there would have been a lot more hurt. It's trying to fit a square in a triangle. It's never going to work. Okay? Camille said, I do think we put people on pedestals, and when they disappoint us, we feel guilty. We feel guilty. We feel like it's our fault. We feel like we have to do something to change them, when in all actuality, it's not them that needs to change. It's you, right? You need to change the part of you that thought that was okay. Once we get to the other side and we've learned and we've grown and we've gotten over whatever that situation is, you then have to address the part of you that thought that was okay. Okay? Because if you don't address it, if you don't acknowledge it, if you don't try to heal the part of you that thought that was okay, it's going to continue to happen. Right? I'm guilty of doing that. I am so very guilty of trying to make a sheep a lion. I mean, a lion a sheep. A sheep a lion. You have to understand that people are who they are, and you can't change anybody. If they don't want to change, they're not going to. You're the only person you can change. And you have to be ready to change as well. So a part of recognizing that it's not them, that it's you, you hold all the power to who you are, who you want to be, who you're going to be. You have to want to change because some people are just not ready. Sorry, I got to go. You know what I mean? I'm still here, but I'm here over here. I'm not here up in there with you. You know, and that's okay. I found myself in situations right now today where there are just some people who I can't rock with you. Respect you, right? Support you from over here. Just don't come in my area because the wavelength that you're on is throwing off my rhythm. And that's okay. And you have to be okay with that. Because that's where you take back your ownership. Another part of this, it's not them, it's you. So we oftentimes, and let me know if I'm by myself, we oftentimes get hurt by people and we kind of retreat. We get in like a depressive state. We kind of lose productivity. We just get down and out. When in all actuality, I've learned that in my experiences with unfavorable situations, relationships, friendships, partnerships, business relationships, is that when I laser focus on my goals, when I laser tunnel vision, focus on the things that I see to be of most importance, even in the midst of chaos, right? You find a sense of peace, right? When you're going through crazy shit, bullshit, people aren't treating you right, and you start to kind of carve out what's important to you, you're gonna uncover peace. It's gonna seem very unfamiliar, like, I've never had to do this before. That's what growth is, right? A millionaire never had $1 million before until they got it, right? A winner never won a race until they ran it. So you have to be okay with being uncomfortable and carving it out, owning your path, but you have to be clear with your vision. Because somebody who's not ready to grow is going to see you digging, right? They're going to see you digging, trying to get to gold. And they're going to be like, girl, what are you doing? And you in your mind is like, there's gold. If I keep doing this, I'm going to hit gold. And they're like, baby, it's all dirt. It's all dirt. That's okay, right? That's okay. I don't want you to see my vision. My vision is gold, and this is where it's at, and this is where I'm digging. Dig into yourself until you hit gold for your destiny, for your soul, for your future, for your vision. Don't worry about the people that are just sitting back, laughing at you, wondering why you going so hard and not seeing results. Because when you do hit gold, they ain't going to have nothing else to do but clap for you. Right? I'm not the churchy person. I ain't been to church in a long time. But I know that the Bible up in there, it says something about the Lord will prepare a table in front of your enemies or something like that. Right? Don't even acknowledge it. Let them be them and work on you. Right? Let them be who they are. Whether it be positive, negative, toxic, or supportive. Let them be who they are because they don't got shit to do with you. Worry about you. A phrase that I've come very familiar with, very comfortable with in recent times in my life is I don't give a fuck. And most people think when you say that, it's a negative thing, like you being rude, you saying that you don't like someone. But I promise not giving a fuck is a very great place to be. It's been great here. Okay? Do I still have the same people around? No. But not giving a fuck means you don't care. All I've been caring about is what's ahead of me. Right? If you decide to leave, you gone. Right? If we end up not talking, cool. Right? You do something I don't like, gotta go. You make me uncomfortable, it's raps. But I'm so laser focused on my role in my life because it's not you, babe. Do you. Believe what you believe. Stand on what you stand on. It's me and I'm gonna move around. You have to get so comfortable with your journey. You have to get so comfortable with who you are. You have to get so comfortable not only in your successes but in your failures. You have to get comfortable when you fall short. None of us are perfect. We say these simple words all the time, but I feel like you really have to live in it. You really have to understand that everything that happens in your life has everything to do with you and what you believe. Stop giving the power to other people for who you are in your destiny, because if you do that, you lose every time. Right? I have on my mirror in my bathroom, on a Post-it note, I have written, keep betting on yourself and you'll never lose. I made a status on Facebook a few days ago and it said I done messed around and became my favorite person. Right? And we all know that when we have someone who's our favorite, we don't want to let them down. Right? This is my favorite person. This is my favorite teacher. I want to make sure I do well in her class. This is my favorite book. I want to make sure I take care of it. Okay? This is my favorite movie. I'm going to make sure other people know why. I done messed around and became my favorite person. And I'm not letting me down for anybody. We have to get to that place. You have to understand that even in your darkest hour, you have to remind yourself and just constantly say, one day I'm going to be my favorite. One day I'm going to be successful. Right? And it seems so hard to believe. Like small things like that are actually effective. I'm going to start a podcast. I told y'all a long time ago in like season 1, it took me over a year. I had podcast equipment, software on my computer for over a year before I ever turned the camera on, turned the mic on, press record. But in my mind, even in those anxious states, even when I was feeling down, even when I was fearful, even when I was doubting myself, I still allowed that voice that said, you're going to start a podcast, it's going to be great. I allowed that voice to come through. Right? I didn't think about all the other podcasts that existed. Hell, I listened and looked to those for pointers and tips. Right? What are you doing? Once you stop caring about other people and stop blaming other people for where you are, that's when you grow. Yes, they did you wrong. Yes, they lied to you. Yes, they stole from you. Yes, they made your mental health shit. But at some point, you got to realize that you're the person to change that. You're the person that's going to make things different in your life. You create your own reality. You are the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. Stop giving your power to other people. Okay? So, we're going to start to wrap this up. This is a nice quick one, but I really love this conversation. And again, it's not them, it's you. If you want to get to your healing, and these are just the points that I'm going over. If you want to get to your healing, you have to figure out what it is or what role you play in the situations that you're experiencing. Okay? Are you allowing people to treat you a certain way? Are you allowing people in your life that you know shouldn't be, that make you uncomfortable? Listen to your soul. Listen to your body, right? If you feel anxious around someone, that's your spirit telling you they need to go. Okay? What role are you playing? We never want to say that we're to blame for our hurting, but once you accept that you do play a role in it, it'll be easier. right? Once you accept that you do play a role in your pain and your suffering and your confusion and your hurt and your failures, you take back ownership, because in that same breath that you're owning that, you're also saying that I am in charge of changing it, right? Own your shit. The next thing, people only do what you allow. You can't constantly say, this happened to me because they did this to me. That's why we still have adults blaming things that their parents did or the ways that their parents raised them for why they're still acting this way in their late 30s and 40s. They did this. Take it as something that you don't want for yourself. Take it as an experience you don't want for yourself and change it. Take back the ownership, right? Another thing is trying to get someone to take ownership of the hurt that they caused you won't heal you. Because most times people who hurt you won't even take ownership because they don't feel like they did anything wrong. And that is where you have to realize that you have to stop making people or expecting people to be something that they've shown you they're absolutely not. It's not them. It's you and your expectations of them, right? Just like what other people think of you is none of your business and has nothing to do with you. What you think of other people has nothing to do with them. Let it go. Let them do them. Start digging for your goal. Start figuring out what you want and get clear and work towards that vision. Okay? Last thing. You have to, and I think this is one of the most important points before we close out. You have to heal or work to heal the part of you that allowed that hurt to enter in the first place. So yes, you experienced it. Yes, you got hurt. Yes, you were sad. Yes, you were down. But now that you're getting over the hump, right? Sit with yourself. Think about the person that you were when that happened and realize that you can't let that person appear again, right? I was in this situation and this friend betrayed me. We was kicking it every day. We was at the bar. We was at each other's houses. And all of a sudden, people started acting weird, right? That's your situation. Think about the naive person that you were to even let that happen to you, right? So as I close out this episode, and I really appreciate my friends that are here with me, I want us to realize that it's not them, it's you. The quicker that you realize that the things that happen in your life, somehow, some way, shape, form, or fashion, and we never want to admit that it's partially our fault, it is, right? Take back your ownership. Dig for your goal. Have tunnel vision, right? Stop trying to put people's expectations. Stop trying to put your expectations on who other people will show up for you as, because that's how you get disappointed, okay? The more that you own your story, the more that you own your legacy, the more that you own what's happening to you, you will also have ownership of your destiny, of your goals, of your success. Right? We're not only owning our bullshit, because when you own your bullshit, you already have ownership. Nobody can take it away. When you realize that you're the CEO of your life, not only are you owning your bullshit, but you're owning your blessings as well. Okay? So I'm going to leave y'all with that. Make sure you share the video if you are seeing it for the first time. Again, thank you for joining me, y'all. This is Toya on Universal Teas, the People's Podcast. And this episode was called It's Not Them, It's You. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you share the podcast. Make sure you subscribe. And tell a friend to pull up on the kid next Tuesday because we live on Facebook. I'll see y'all later. Bye.